back to an episode of the Open Source Cafe, and we are joined by Sergio today from Kubeshop, and we're going to talk about Monokle and what's new in Monokle, and how you can get involved. It's a Git-enabled K8s configuration tool and a version control editor. But before we move forward, Sergio, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I'm the product lead for Monokle. That right now it's a suite of products. So we have Monokle Desktop, that is the open source version, but we are also adding new pieces of the puzzle. So we have a Monokle CLI that will be easier to be used in the command line. We also will launch a beta of our Monokle Cloud, that is a SaaS that enables you to integrate Monokle into your GitOps flows or any Git-enabled flow, and allows you to use any of the capabilities you have in the cloud without having to install or download anything. And we have some GitHub actions. We have some integration with Chrome. So we have a Chrome extension that allows you to see the information we provide. And we are building all of that to introduce new use cases and change it so it's more useful, really.
Yeah, most definitely. It's helping increase developer productivity and everything. And for folks who want to get started with Monokle, we've done some tutorials on it. We've done some amazing Twitter Spaces, podcasts. But in this video, we're going to talk about, in this episode, we're talking about what led to the pivot, because it's open source, it's community driven. So you got a lot of user input, which led to the pivot over the last couple of months. So can you tell us a little bit more about why Monokle has pivoted?
But it was really clear. I came to Kubeshop and started being the product manager for Monokle almost 4 months ago. And one of the immediate things I noticed is that Monokle was really cool. They had a lot of features, and I really loved what I was saying. But also, the way we were showing and the way that features were available were basically covering a very tiny use case of everything we could do. We were trying to cover one specific use case, and many of the features were isolated from the others. And what that means, we have some telemetry, but actually 1/3 of our users disable it, but there's some telemetry we can use. And when we were starting looking at that, we discovered that people were coming back to Monokle not really so often as we expected. Changes in configuration, there was YAML editing, and changing the configuration was something done every month. It was not something you do all the time. So we have a lot of people saying this is really cool, but really when you wanted to ask them how do you use that in your day-to-day, they say, I don't. So we pivoted looking for ways of making Monokle a tool that you can use in your real workflows and not something you have in your tool set and use once every 1, 2, 3 months. And many of the changes we're doing is actually making all that cool features something that helps you every single day, not more often than before.
So I took the community feedback in, and this is what I keep telling people, it's all about getting feedback and solving problems. So you won't know what problems to solve if you don't talk to your customers. So that's great. And talk a little bit more about that, later. But can you tell us a little bit more about what is new in Monokle from, and also what has stayed the same?
So we keep 99% of the code. Everything is there. All the features are there. So what we have added is new functionality to make that coherent. So we've improved a lot of things, a lot of tiny details, and there's a huge changes coming around. But I would say everything you had was still there. I think the biggest change in the last 4 months is that we added Git. So before it was a folder, your project was a folder and you were working on that, but we discovered talking to people, there was not really a tool that allows you to do that when you are working Git-enabled. It doesn't need to be GitOps, but when you are using Git, there's no tool that really integrate with us. And we saw that many of the things we do, like comparisons between different versions of the application, comparison with the cluster, were really, really a nice idea to add Git. So you have an audit trail, and you can start comparing what you had to what you have today. And then use cases like, this broke and I don't know why, suddenly became really easy. You just go to your story and your Git story, you look for a log or a commit that was done 3 weeks ago, you compare the two of them, and you know what changed. So you can basically fix that. And that made Monokle great, because now you not only look at what is in your configuration today, but you can also discover what had changed and enable a lot of use cases that are new.
Could not agree more. And we're talking about leveraging Git in like pre-deployment tasks. Can we maybe see a brief demo around how this is, going to help people and how it's going to be an advantage?
Yep, let's do that. If I can find the button to present. Let's quickly go through a few things. So, for instance, one of the things I was thinking is what happens when you have a Helm chart and you want to know what is going to be installed. I'm using this project that I know from the past, and the first thing you're going to see is all the files that you have in this folder. So one of the things when you go to the documentation of this project or any other Helm chart, any other repo, open source repo, is that they ask you to follow some steps. And one of them is installing the Helm chart. So if I want to be secure and I want to make sure that this is going to work, one of the first things I'm going to do is open Monokle and point Monokle to my resources. Immediately what I'm going to see, it's all the resources that are defined. So I know that OpenCause is installing a deployment, creating some jobs, it's creating a namespace, so everything is installed in the namespace, and then I can see services and cluster roles, all the things that are going to be there. So I can look at them. I also have immediately links between the things. So I know that there's some external link or some internal link between the things. And even I can see errors in my configurations. So I can see that this is referring to a namespace or is using a namespace that is not there. So I need to find whether that information is working. And the other thing I can do is I can go to this and configure open policy agents, or I can configure the schema version I'm using. So I'm making sure that this OpenCause folder is going to work in my cluster and is compatible to all my things. This is cool, and if you're having information for a third party, it's great, but also you can do this in your own configuration before you deploy. So the first thing we're going to see again is I'm open this demo that is the one we use for Monokle demo, and you're going to see all the files. You can edit them, directory here. We have contents highlighting. We also have information about all the links and all the things. And in real time, you're going to start seeing context information about that. So you don't need to really know what is going on. You can go here, because we have OPA and all the things available, this is telling you, for instance, that this has a problem. There's a problem in my configuration that makes me do that. And I can do that with the resources, or I can do that directly going to the file and modifying the file. The good thing with resources, both if you're an expert or you are a new one working with Kubernetes, we offer a form that allows you to do that without having to think about YAML structure and number of spaces and whether this is going in this tab or is you need to tab it once more because you need that. And if you're learning or you're really an expert, you can actually open the form side by side with your source. So if I make any of the changes in my form, it will immediately be updated in my form editor. And this allows me to continue working on my file. That is the thing I'm working on. I think if you want to be an expert or you're an engineer, this is the important thing, to be managing the object. But we offer all this help so you don't really to be caring about things you don't care, like the number of spaces in a YAML file. As I told you, everything is supported by Git, so you can have different versions. You can commit from here, and you can sync the information. and actually you can change branches and do things with that. One of the cool things we have, and we always have, let me go there, is that you can compare, sorry, yeah, sorry, I need to go to the folder. So you can compare and sync. And the compare and syncs allows me to compare any two versions of my application. So I can go here and compare what I have in local, or I can go and compare a different branch that I have in my configuration. In that moment, I can see all the difference. You see gray, what it's defined in this version of the configuration, but it's not defined in this version, and all the changes. I can synchronize directly from here, or I can find if the file it's available in the two versions. I can really have a config comparisons of the two different configurations, so I know exactly what is going on. So I can go here, use the main, and compare with my GitHub action, and I see everything that's happened, and if it's the same or they have any difference, I will see a button that will allow me to compare one version with the other. This is nice, but we're also available, you can connect to your cluster, so actually you can go and connect to your cluster, and your cluster will tell you the resources it has, so you can synchronize, you can promote, you can apply some of the changes, and you can compare the configuration of your cluster and the configuration that you have in your local folder. And again, all supported by Git, all really dynamic. There's more things to that, and if you are a developer, you don't want to be thinking about what is the structure of a deployment. And I've talked to a lot of people that are really seasoned and they really know what they're doing, so they don't need this. But there's also always some people that are learning, or you basically want to make sure that everything you're asking for, it's installed. So you can use a template where we will work. It will ask you for the information you need, so the name of your pod, the namespace you're going to deploy it, and of course this will work directory with the list of namespaces you have, the images that we have identified that you can use, or you can use any version, and the command line, bash echo. And with this, I can create a pod directory using this. It will create the YAML and it will apply it. So I don't really know what is going on. Well, I know what is going on, but I don't even know the details about the YAML format and all the things that are there. This helped me. If I go to more advanced use cases, it can be that I'm working with a Helm chart, or I'm working with a customization. When I'm doing that, I have additional information. I can basically get my customization file, choose an overview, an overlay, and get an overview of all the resources that are created. And again, we told before, we had the capability to compare different versions of this, so you can have a clear difference between what you deployed in production, what you deploy in QA, because we are able to calculate all those resources and apply the policies using the different overlays that you have in Kubernetes. Or if you are using Helm, we can get any value file and do the same and calculate a resource list, a bill of material of your resources from any value chain, so you can see exactly what is going to be created with your Helm chart, applying the values file, and you can make sure, because we still apply validation and all the things I talked before, we can see if there's any error, any missing link, any image that is not there, and you can define which policy is applied, so you're making sure that you're following all the rules that need to be there. One of the things we're adding that will come really shortly in the cloud and shortly after in the desktop, we're going to add TypeScript validator, so you can define your own TypeScript rules and we will apply those rules to your files. So you can define things like, I need this label, or I have to have this version of the Kubernetes API. That's all of that will be available really soon.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Sergio. A lot of cool, exciting new features coming up, and I really like how you've, because we did some podcasts and Twitter Spaces live sessions previously, and right after the session, we got like a lot of folks joining in, a lot of contributors, contributing to Monokle, which was nice to see. So my next, question for you is just one last question is, can you talk a little bit more about the roadmap and like the upcoming 2.0 release and the SaaS tool and maybe you can share how folks can get involved as a contributor.
Yeah, so quite nice. So we have actually we made the roadmap public today, so you can go to GitHub or GitHub Kubeshop/Monokle, and there's a project inside where we're adding the every single detail of our roadmap. That's the one we use internally, so you can go there. There's a few places you can contribute. You can join our Discord and ask questions. That's very important. You can create meetups and we will participate in that. You can help with the documentation, or you can basically ask for an issue that can be applied to you. So if you want to contribute to code, Node.js, and or you want to learn Kubernetes, just go ask in the Discord or directly in GitHub, and we will assign an issue for you that is easy to do, and we will work for you. So that's the open source part. The other part is what we are doing to make this even better. And I will tell you, there's going to be a new release in a few weeks, next month, beginning of next month, where we're going to be adding some capabilities for cluster management. One of the things we have discovered is that many people need some kind of cluster visualization. So they need to know very basic stuff: CPU memory, how the application is running, access to the logs. We have many of those capabilities already in Monokle, but we are making a new interface that is more coherent, so it will work in real time, and you will be able to connect to your cluster and see specific information about that. We are not trying to be a cluster management system, even if we have some capabilities. What we are saying is, from deployment to making sure that, from configuration to making sure your application is running, you can use Monokle all the time. So if you want to create your configuration from your code, you don't need to leave Monokle at all. Everything is included, including the basic management that you need for your application. So that's going to be 1.13. 2.0 will be at the same time that 1.0, January, after the holiday break. And we're going to be there. It's rebuilding the interface. So right now the interface, it's an IDE, and it's going to still be an IDE, but the IDE is more around files, configuration files. We are rebuilding the interface to be more about resources. So we are moving from local files to resources, and that will create a new interface where it's easy to understand what is going on. It's easy to follow on the changes on your configuration. And many of the things I've shown, like the comparison of the customized preview, the help previews, we're talking some other CNCF projects because we can help them be better. And we're going to integrate that into a complete new interface where Helm and Customize will become inputs. Your outputs will be either Git or your cluster, and you will have all the capabilities for resource management in the middle.
Amazing. And all the resources that Sergio has mentioned, like the Discord channel and the GitHub repository and everything, I'll leave those down in the description below so you can check it out. And if you have any other questions, you can leave those in the comment section below. But the best way to get involved is just, join the community, join the Discord channel, and, get involved over there, ask your questions over there if you want to get involved in as a contributor. Thanks a lot for giving your time, Sergio. It was really amazing talking to you. Really excited to see, the new upcoming features and what all things you have on the roadmap. And yeah, it was really great talking to you. Thank you so much.
It was really, really great talking to you, Kunal. Every time we have something of that, we have new people contributing to the community. There's a lot of excitement every time we collaborate. That's great to have you.
Yeah, the community is
talking about
very
this.
enthusiastic. So yeah, really happy to see that. Cool. So everyone else, if you want to get involved, check out the links in the description. Everything you can find at one place, and we'll see you there. Bye.